Today, I am being admitted to Good Morning Hospital in South Korea, in Pyeongtaek, to have lymph nodes removed because my breast cancer is back. But in order to understand this story, you need to understand the whole story. So, when I was 31 years old, right after my birthday in March, I went to have my physical done. My midwife found a small lump in my breast, and she said, with your history and everything, I would suggest us getting an ultrasound of this to make sure it's not cancer. Cancer does run in my family, but everybody's been in their 40s, 50s, 60s before they've dealt with it. I was 31. So that was a Monday. On Wednesday, I had a mammogram and an ultrasound. The mammogram was clear. Something most people don't know is mammograms don't show all types of cancer. But when I had my ultrasound done, the technician said, "I'll be right back. I need to speak to the radiologist." When she comes back to the room, she comes with the radiologist. And you and I both know you never see the radiologist. It's always the technicians. It's never the radiologist. So I knew something was going on. I was told that they needed to do a biopsy that day, that somebody from upstairs was coming to get me to do the biopsy. At 31 years old, I was pretty damn scared. I kind of think at that point I already knew that there was definitely something going on. It wasn't just curiosity or something looked a little out of whack. Just the way they were acting, the way they were talking. So I went upstairs and had a punch biopsy done. And that was on Wednesday. They told me the results could be back as early as Friday, but they would definitely be back the following Monday. At the time, I was in my 15th year in the United States Army Reserve. So that Monday morning came around and we were supposed to be going to the field for a week. I was at my reserve unit, ready to go, packed, locked, loaded. Just before we were supposed to leave, I got a phone call from the oncologist. It was positive for breast cancer. At 31 years old, I was facing what would end up becoming one of the hardest battles of my life. Me and my husband had only been married for less than 2 years. I had an 18-month-old baby at home. And I was scared. The next day, obviously I didn't go to the field. The next day I came back I went to the hospital to see my oncologist, and he told me it was at least stage 1, possibly stage 2, but they wouldn't know until they really got in there to see how far it spread. And they said I would need chemotherapy, I would need radiation therapy. So that was the plan. And he asked me if I wanted, he said that the mass was big enough that he recommended at least a mastectomy. But with cancer running in my family, we all knew I needed a bilateral mastectomy. So that's what I did. I had a bilateral mastectomy. I had opted for immediate reconstruction. If I knew then what I know now, I would have waited on the reconstruction. The first reconstruction, my body rejected. After chemo and radiation, we tried again, and it got infected. And then later, I would have an abscess on that side. But after my mastectomy, my bilateral mastectomy, the doctor told me it was stage 3. That it was not just the one mass. He told me it was in my skin, my chest wall. It was in my lymph nodes. They removed 20 lymph nodes, and it was cancer positive in 4 of them. So I started chemotherapy, and my body did not take it well. I had 2 different chemotherapies that I had to go through. I made it all the way through the first one, which was only 5 doses. The second one, I only made it through 3 doses. And we had to stop because the doctor told me the chemo would kill me faster than the cancer did at that point. When I had my surgery, they did not get clear margins. And now I was unable to finish chemotherapy. But the doctor told me not to worry, that the radiation would get rid of anything else that was there. So I had 35 rounds of radiation treatment. Later, my chest wall became infected after finished radiation and everything. A few months later, my chest wall became infected and it abscessed. So I had to have surgery to clean out the abscess. The next day it was looking worse, so they did another surgery to clean it out more. And then the third day, it was still looking worse, so they asked to do surgery again to clean it out even more. By the time the surgery was over, all 3 surgeries were over, there was a huge hole in my chest, and you could actually see 2 of my ribs. After chemo and radiation, they put me on an Anastrozole, which is a hormone-based chemotherapy pill. And they told me I would be taking it a minimum of 10 years. But because we had unclear margins, I didn't finish our chemotherapy, and my family history, that I may be taking it the rest of my life. I accepted that. Fast forward from 31 years old to 38 years old. My son is now 9. My daughter is 18, turning 19 in January. And I'm 38. We moved to South Korea for my husband's job. And here they do things a lot different. And it's in a good way. Their hospitals may not be as technologically advanced in some ways, but their hospitals are so much better. Their treatment is so much better than it is back in the States. But 6 months here, you get, even after 7 years, you still get follow up full body scans every 6 months here. And I knew something wasn't right a few months ago. I got diagnosed with pericarditis, but still, just something wasn't right. So I asked for a PET scan. And they also did a CT scan and MRI. And an ultrasound. An ultrasound, they found a mass in my auxiliary area, which is the armpit area. And they did another punch biopsy. A week later, I found out it was positive for the same type, invasive ductal carcinoma, that I've had last time. And I was told that it was metastatic and it was stage 4. Here, everything moves a lot faster. And the doctors are very, very good here. I found they did the biopsy 2 weeks ago. Last week, I found out, 2 weeks ago they did the biopsy. Last week I found out it was malignant cancer. And it was stage 4. And they have me scheduled for tomorrow for surgery. Tomorrow is Thanksgiving. So instead of spending Thanksgiving with my family, I will be having surgery yet again to attempt to remove all the cancer again. And then after 2 weeks after surgery, I will start targeted therapy. It's not supposed to have as many side effects, but we'll see. My body didn't handle chemotherapy very well. Stage 4 cancer is scary because that's it. There is no cancer free. There's remission for a small time, but you'll never be cancer free. If we found the right targeted therapy, there are people who live 20 and 30 years with the right targeted therapy. But if we can't find the right targeted therapy, the average lifespan is 3 years. And this is just the beginning of my second fight for my life. But I feel more confident here with the doctors here. I have a good oncology team. It's so easy to get seen. If you have anything, any kind of mass that just doesn't feel right, make sure you're doing your monthly checks. And if something doesn't feel right, go to your doctor. And don't let them tell you you're too young. In my cancer journey, I have met people who have had cancer in their 20s. And I've read the story of some people who are getting it in their teens. So if you feel something, don't let them tell you you're too young. it can't be cancer. Because it can be. I encourage everyone to do genetic screening to find out if you carry the genetic marker for breast cancer. Well, I do not, and none of the women in my family do. The geneticists basically told us it's just a gene we haven't found yet, because there's too many women in my family who have had it for it not to be genetic. So, if you feel something doesn't feel right, please talk to your doctor. And if your doctor won't listen, find another doctor. Because I never in my life thought I'd be under 40 and be fighting for my life a second time. But here I am. Later today, or later this morning, I go to the hospital, and tomorrow I have surgery. And I'm scared. But I also know it'll be okay. I know it'll be okay.